Welcome to the Mind of Business Success podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Cramer. Our guest today is Lisa Shawver, and we are going to talk about finding your joy. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Hi, it's so nice to be here. Thank you for having me on the show.
Let's start by talking a little bit about who you are. Your backstory is a part of that. So I would love for you to share with our listeners a little bit about what you're doing with your business and how you got to where you are, because you actually are a former Olympic athlete, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So fill us in. Tell us about you and what you're doing.
Well, first of all, everybody thinks, you start at point A and it's going to be a straight line to point B. That is definitely not the, picture. And for most people, it's point A and loop-de-loops and squiggly Q's and, we got here to point B. So it would be nice. I try to help people get from that point A in, maybe a couple of little turns, instead of the mass chaos to get to point B. So that's my passion, is to help people find the joy and help get to where they want to get to faster, simpler, and just easier. So I started out playing softball and volleyball in high school, and I wound up playing softball in college. And I actually played for the Puerto Rican national softball team. That came about because my coach at Cal Berkeley played there, and I was redshirting. I had come from Texas A&M. I had my grandmother passed away, and I'm an only child, and I had to help my mom, and I got way behind in school, and I kind of panicked, and so I just left Texas A&M and I went to UC Berkeley. Well, everybody wanted me to play, but when you're in the NC2A, you have to redshirt a year before you can go to another school and play. And I'm like, well, why do I want to sit on the bench? That was my mindset at the moment. I have always traveled and done things explicitly for softball my entire life. And I wanted to do something different. So if I wanted to go to Hawaii, just to go to Hawaii, which I did, I wanted to be able to do that. So, I didn't play. Well, to get me back the next year, she just said, hey, trying to entice me in. She said, hey, we need another pitcher for our team. And you can help us out while we travel here in the United States on the East Coast playing teams. So I got ready, of course, I'm going to do my best. I'm one of those people. I'm going to practice and do what I need to do to, get there and help them, because that's my sole purpose. So I did that, and little did I know it was really a tryout too. To see if it's a good fit for both of us. And they invited me to join them on their team. Well, that was back in the 80s. And in 87, it was supposed to be an Olympic sport. In 88, it got canceled. So I stopped playing softball altogether. Lo and behold, like I said, journeys are so different. And I started playing tennis. And that became my passion as far as athletics go. So I started playing tennis. And I got to where I got to like the NorCal Open player, which is semi-pro. And so then I was thinking way back, like, gosh, if I would have played tennis instead of softball, maybe I could be making money, but that's okay. It was still my fun. I really enjoyed it. One day there was an ad in the San Francisco Chronicle that, hey, there's going to be a tryout for the Colorado Silver Bullets, which was the first professional baseball team. And my husband, who didn't know me back then when I played softball, said, hey, maybe you should, try out. And I'm like, okay, it's baseball, but okay, I'll do it. And he knew a friend that was a professional baseball player who was friends with one of the coaches. And then there was John Negro and Phil Negro, for those of you that follow baseball. So it was going to be an awesome opportunity. So at the time I was teaching, and I asked my superintendent, hey, is it okay if I take off just, a couple hours, if I kind of leave school early just so I can go try out? And he said, yes. So I've been practicing. I've been doing everything that I need to do, again, because I had been playing tennis now for the last 8 years. And so I got back into the baseball, softball mode. And on the day of the tryout, I'm going to the thing, and I'm going early. I'm one of those people. I get there, a little bit early, because you don't know, what's going to happen with traffic. And I get there and there's nobody there. I'm like, sinking heart. I was dying inside. I'm like, what's going on? So I'm calling my husband, and this is before, I mean, cell phones are around, but not, you know what I mean, huge. And so I'm calling my husband, and he's calling his friend, and then he's calling one of the coaches that, and he says, oh yeah, we moved it last minute. Oh, thank you for letting me know. So I had to go all the way across town, and I get there and there's like literally like 15 minutes left. So of course I'm in a panic. All the girls are like kind of putting on their cleats and winding down. And I'm like, ooh, got to get out there, run out there. And it had been raining and it was a little slick. And so I go out there, and of course I failed miserably, but we learned from those things. Although there was a lot of things that were out of my control. So I had to accept that. So I'm just in tears all the way home. And I called up and I said, okay, how many tryouts are left? There was only 2 that I could possibly make. And the one I couldn't miss any school. So the next one was on a weekend. So I scheduled that one in Colorado, got there through the snowstorm, and the whole backstory on that as well. But I was determined. I was going to be there. Nothing was going to stop me. My mom came with me. We even spun out in the snowbank, and I'm like, oh my God, at least the car wasn't wrecked. We got there, and I had the most awesome tryout of my life. And so then I got invited into spring training, and then I went on to play for the Colorado Silver Bullets. But that path isn't always just a straight line. It's squiggly, and you just have to have that mindset that failure is not the end. It's just a way of learning, or getting, just seeing if you can overcome that challenge to get to that next step sometimes. And, my goal, that by playing with the Silver Bullets, that allowed me to get back to my original goal of getting to the Olympics. Because what happened was, while we were playing, they were broadcasting, when we were at the Oakland Coliseum playing, they were broadcasting a radio show that was being heard, radio waves. It was all being broadcast in Puerto Rico, and they heard my name, Lisa Martinez. And they're going, ooh, I wonder if that's the same one. So I get this phone call the next day. Hey, do you want to come play with us? We're trying out for the Olympics. It's going to be an Olympic sport next year. And that's how I was able to get into the Olympics after all those years of not, I was in the Olympics 96. So I was 32 when I was there, and it was supposed to happen when I was like 21 or whatever. So never know what's going to happen in life, and you just have to have that determination. And that was kind of my path to my Olympic travels. But as far as other things, I've been a teacher. I was a vice principal, and then I got into financial planning, which I still wear that hat. In fact, I'm wearing a little more this year than I have with all of the recent happenings with the uncertainty of the stock market. But I went into financial planning. And then midway, my husband and I, on a trip to Hawaii, once again, there's one of those like forks in the road. We were on a vacation on Maui, and we went to Mama's Fish House, and we had the original Mai Tais created by Trader Vic's, which was in Oakland. And we're like, huh, okay. So my husband orders it right away, and he hands it to me, and he says, oh, you're not going to like this. And it was like, he was right. I was like, burr. That's like, it was so strong. And I'm like, why can't they make a drink that tastes good, can be strong, but tastes good? It's kind of like salsa. Salsa should taste good, and it can have a little kick to it, but why does it have to burn your mouth where you can't taste anything? So that was kind of my theory on the whole alcohol thing. And so we tried all these alcohols, and that's how our business Hula Girl Beverages came into play. So we started Hula Girl Beverages along the way. And then, of course, the market downturn of 2009 just kind of hit pretty hard. We were doing fine. We're in all the businesses. In fact, we're reinventing Hula Girl right now, and you kind of just have to go with the flow. We created a whole new line of our beverages, sparkling spirit. We're ready to go, but then when COVID hit, it was like the price of aluminum went up. It just kept going up. Let's say if I could get it for 10 cents a can, it went to 15 to 20 to 30 to 40. I'm like, oh my goodness. Well, we have to pivot, right? If that's what you want to do. So now we're about ready to launch Hula Girl Fashion. We're going to do that first, and a line of flip-flops and t-shirts and beach towels to start with. and that's coming soon. But once again, I mean, that started, and we were doing things way back when in the, what was that, 2007, 8, 9, when we started it, and then we're selling it, the beverages, but we had to step back when the economy was just not good. And then we started again, and then the economy's kind of been uncertain, but we had to pivot and go with what you know, and find the right people to help you make that pivot. Sometimes you need to, just have that determination and dedication and courage to stay with something when you know you have that $1 million or $1 billion brand that can come to fruition. So we are working on that. But in the meantime, with all of my background in athletics as well, I have created the program 5 Rings of Success, which is part of my Champion's Mind. And that is going to be launching very soon here in June. And that is a mindset program that people, can, it'll be a webinar, but it'll also be a program that people can purchase a membership so that they can to follow some of the things that I have learned through my paths of just different life experiences and athletic experiences to get where I am today.
A lot of takeaways in that. So
yeah, and I even missed a whole bunch. I've done a lot of things.
Well, let's highlight a little bit of this, because there's a lot of different things that people can resonate with. And it's not uncommon to hear from people who have achieved success in various different areas of life, or especially in business, that there are a tremendous amount of setbacks along the way. And it is that determination that allows you to get through each of those setbacks. And what is oftentimes perceived by many people as failure doesn't mean it's the end of the line. And it absolutely doesn't mean that you cannot or will not achieve your goals. In fact, reflecting on your story, you achieved incredible things beyond what the majority would allow themselves to experience, because you stuck with it, because you didn't give up. And so many people, especially in business, are bumping up against those obstacles and they pull back. They internalize it as it's not meant to be. You'll see all these cliches as you're scrolling through social media. But, if it's not coming easy, then it's just not meant to be. Or, if it's really meant to be, it will happen. And it sends kind of this mixed message that if you encounter resistance, or if you encounter setbacks, or if you encounter your own internal obstacles that are manifesting as challenges in your life, that, oh, I guess it's just, wasn't meant to be, wasn't right for me. God didn't want me to have that path, or whatever story, people are giving to themselves. And from my experience, that's just not the case.
Mm-mm. No, it's so important. I'm a proponent. In fact, that's one of my rings. I have the 5 Rings of Success. The 4th ring is about utilizing visualization. And the 3rd component is self-fulfilling prophecy. What you tell yourself will happen. I'm wanting, let's say a few years ago, I was wanting to buy just an economic car, but it's still an SUV, but smaller than what I had. So I was looking at a Cadillac XT5, and next thing you know, I'm seeing them everywhere. I went and bought one, but and then all of a sudden I'm seeing them everywhere because I'm manifesting it. It's just it's in my mind. And I always have a visual. In fact, I can see it from my desk here. I have a vision board. It does work. In fact, I have to change that vision board another time, because I wanted to write a children's book, and I've got a series. The first one's already come out, Max and Marigold, The Runic and the Crystal Cave, which is on Amazon. And another one was to write an adult book. And it's a story rather than taking people on a story, and it's called Unforgettable. And that also is out on, Amazon. And so I need to take those off and re-put the next goals in that area of my life. So, I mean, I have like maybe a vacation spot or a home, or maybe I have food, or maybe it's relationships. You can do anything on your vision board. And by seeing that, it's that desire, that motivation to get you going, and then telling yourself, that self-fulfilling prophecy. And it's what you tell yourself is what happens. So we need to input into our brain, what you want and what you are able to. Even if you want to be a writer, I am a writer. Maybe you haven't written that book yet, but I am a writer. I mean, I hadn't written the book. I'm an author, whatever. That's what I was telling myself. I'm an author, but I was writing every day. I was writing posts. You're writing posts on Instagram or Facebook. You're having to come up with content. So you are a writer, you are an author, and you're just one step away from finishing that book or whatever it is that you want to happen in life. So you've got to tell yourself, you're so correct. It's the positive things in life that you have to tell yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love about these types of conversations is we are also reinforcing the mind that just because it didn't happen exactly when you wanted it to happen or the way that you thought it should happen, when you really believe in yourself, when you are committed to your goals and your dreams and your heart's desires, you will find a way. And the journey that each of us has is obviously different, and when you are working with your clients, now you work in this mindset capacity with clients as well. I'd love to talk for a moment about what you are oftentimes seeing people bump up against, because that's often, that's where people come into our worlds. When, myself as a mindset coach, you doing the work that you do to help people with mindset, when someone identifies that they have a goal, they have a dream, they have a desire, right? They're oftentimes reaching out for support because they're bumping up against something internal. So I love to start there. And I'd love to talk with you about what you are frequently seeing people bumping up against, because I think it's important for everyone to understand you're not alone. This is the way the mind works. And it's okay. And it doesn't mean that you're stuck or you can't achieve what you want. When we sort of shine the light of truth on these things, it gives people permission to say, hey, wait a second, I don't have to let that hold me back anymore.
There are so many different things, and each thing is different. I've seen fear of success. I mean, they're successful, but yet they don't get to that next stage, maybe because of fear of success, or it's the fear of failure can put a block there. Maybe they just don't feel they're worthy. Something happened. Something could have happened even I've helped some people. Something could have happened in high school and it's something you would think is innocuous, but it's not. Maybe a teacher made fun, just made some off base comment and other kids laughed and, oh my God, I'm not going to do that again, or I'm not going to write, or I'm not going to, you know what I mean? Maybe something was there and that just put a block in them for something, that they're not worthy of something, or it could be fear of rejection in that instance. There's so many different things, and it's important sometimes you have to do a little bit deeper work to get past those blocks or to find them. That's where visualization and other techniques can be used to help find those, to overcome that, and help perhaps tie it in with that joy that you have in something else. So like for me, I even come up against obstacles, and, I have to take a step. Sometimes I don't take a step back, but I just pause for a second, but I know I have to take that next step forward. And everybody should have a coach, and everybody should be coached. And everybody should have a coach and be coached, or be a coach to somebody else. It's so important to do that. So I called somebody that's a friend and a mentor. I'm like, I'm in a transition. I went back into teaching when the economy was bad back in 2012. It was still carrying on. So I go, I'll just go back into teaching. Next, I'm teaching math and stuff to high school students for a period of time. And then my mom fell and broke her hip. So there's been a lot of transition, so many things juggling in my life. I needed to find something joyful in my life. And for me, that was ballroom dancing. I always wanted to do it. I've been waiting. Why wait? Hello, take that step. You can usually get one for free at almost any studio as an introductory, and maybe or some less expensive introductory thing, if that's what you're into. So I wanted to go into dancing, and I'm not going to wait anymore for my husband. I mean, he would have done it if I forced him. In fact, he did take 2 lessons with me. But he goes, nope, that's it. I'm going back to tennis, because that's how we met. And I said, that's okay. You do your tennis and I'm going to do dancing for now. But for me, it was what brought me joy. And I just loved it. Learning something new, being creative. It was all sorts of things. Now, when this happened for me, it all happened. My mom had broken her hip on September 16th. I believe I took my first lesson on September 28th. One of my mentors and coaches at that time, who was helping me move forward in one area that I was struggling with, he gave me permission. Lisa, you can do something. You can watch that favorite show, put it on DVR. You can watch it. Don't let it sit there and stack up on your DVR. If it's just one show, 45 minutes a week, right? Or you can go take that dance lesson. You can do it. Because my mom was already having problems before she broke her hip. I was already having to take care of her. And it was weighing on me. Well, then she broke her hip. And I just started taking dance lessons, and I was feeling guilty, right? Fear of guilt and all sorts of stuff crops up in everybody. And I was feeling guilty, like, oh my God, I can't tell my mom that I'm taking dance lessons, because here she can't even walk. She can't even get out of bed. She can't go to the bathroom, all the things. And she's suffering in a nursing facility and you can't get in there, COVID and all this stuff. And my mom said, it was like maybe 3 weeks into taking dance lessons, because I realized I love this and I'm going to keep doing it. And I had a dance lesson. It was my 45 minutes, right? I said, Mom, I have to be honest with you. I've got a dance lesson. I started taking ballroom dance lessons, and I will be there, but it'll be like in an hour. And she goes, and we talked, and she goes, so I'll backstep one thing. My mom and dad were divorced when I was 6 months old. So I didn't know my father. She goes, honey, she goes, she goes, where are you taking dance lessons? I said, oh, Arthur Murray over whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she said, well, your dad used to teach dance lessons at Arthur Murray. Man, it was probably in my blood, and I should have been doing this for the last 40, 50 years, you know what I mean, of my life. I could have, if I would have known or something, right? But it's always been this urge. I've always wanted to do it. And it took me a little while, and it took a coach giving me permission. You can take 45 minutes out for yourself to find that joy, if that's what it brings you, because that helps. I mean, people always talk about this work-life balance. It's true, but I mean, it's more of just finding that joy, because sometimes you have to work a little bit harder to get some projects done. So you're going to work a little harder to get something done. But sometimes once you get it going, you can have that balance, and whatever it is, if it's running, if it's horseback riding, if it's gardening, if it's cleaning. I have one person, she loves to clean, and it just centers her and it calms her. So we go ahead and do an extra when you get stressed, go ahead and, do whatever it is to do that makes you happy. But for me, it was dancing. It still is. And so that's what I did. And once again, that I had a coach back then. Now that I've transitioned, I got out of teaching. I had to leave teaching, and my mom she's better. She's home, but she still needs care, and just lots of transitions in my life, which we all have. Sometimes we're in one job that we don't want to, but we want to start a new career. Sometimes it might be a relationship, but we know there's something not right there, and we need to have that courage to step out of that and get out of that toxic relationship and move on to the positive, a new positive one. Whatever it is in your life that's happening, we need to have that. So for me, there's some transition going on, and I'm like, I'm not a procrastinator. If anybody would tell you I'm not. I'm a doer. I'm a go-getter. But I just felt like I wasn't doing as fast as I normally do. So for me, I felt like I was procrastinating, but it wasn't. It was just, so I contacted somebody and we worked through it, and she just helped me. And I knew the dancing was a part of it, but she just helped me relate that. And sometimes that's all it does, is talking to somebody that can help you move through those things or get past that block, or, you know, that you feel worthy, or that you feel that you're not going to be rejected, that you are going to be successful. You don't need to fear this, or whatever that block is. I know a lot of people who are high achieving business people, they can have that fear of, you know, or that lack of feeling like they're worthy of something, or that, you know, that fear that they're going to fail, or the fear that they're going to be successful. Oh my God, what does that mean? I have to go off and do the next big thing. So all of these things, and it's not just the business, it's not just business people. It could, maybe it's manifesting some blocks in their personal lives or relationships or their health, right? Because it's internalized, and so they need to help get rid of that to move forward for their health or their wealth or their life or their personal, whatever it is.
I love talking about giving ourselves permission to find the things that bring us joy. We need those things to fuel us, to keep us in a good mindset, really, when we are encountering the challenges in life and in business. So Lisa, I have to ask you, because I want to make sure that our listeners can connect with you. How can people who are inspired by everything that you share, that want to learn more about potentially working with you, how can our listeners get in contact with you?
I do have a website. It's lisashawver.com. So my name, lisashawver.com. I also have another connection point. It's meetlisa360.com. And from that meetlisa360.com, you know, if you're a Facebook person, you can go, it connects all of the social medias kind of in one place, and or links to books or whatever. And some things may need to be updated since I just came out with this new book again. So, but it's all there. Meetlisa360.com, lisashawver.com, and you can find little things to contact me from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being with us today, sharing your story, which I personally think is very inspiring. And I'm sure it was much needed by some people who are listening to this, who just need to remember that life is going to throw you some curveballs, right?
And when it throws you a curveball, you need to take a step. You need to take a step forward no matter what, because once you take that first step, you'll take another one. And those little mini steps will eventually get you where you want to go. Maybe not as fast, you know, but then you go, oh, once you start taking them, oh, then you start running. So
awesome. I love that. So thank you so much, Lisa. This has been fantastic. And of course, thank you to all of our listeners. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure you do so. And until next time, we will see you in the next episode.